What is going on, Rush Nation? Sorry for the delay. I'm Lewis. It's Friday and it is time for some fast action. So, unfortunately, Pittsy couldn't join us this week, but as always, I am joined by Rob. How are you doing?
Well, Lewis, we have taken quite a journey to get here, haven't we?
But we're here. That's the main thing. We reached
But
the
we are here.
destination.
Yeah. I know we're going to cover it in a little bit. It's been an up and down week, especially after the week 6 games. We're going to go into a bit more of that in a little bit. So, yeah, it's just been a bit of a recovery period, a mourning period, if you will. So, with that in mind, just had to brace myself then a little bit. Let's move into Thursday night throwback. So, yep, the big news, and one thing that I'm certainly finding hard in one way is the trade of Christian McCaffrey to the San Francisco 49ers. Big news that broke early this morning for us, late last night for the American listeners. He is moving to the Niners, and I believe it's for a second, third, fourth round pick in 2023, maybe even a fifth round pick thrown in there. What do you think, Lewis? What do you think about that?
Yeah, fair play to them. They're going all in, aren't they? Sort of joining their division rivals, the Rams, in saying who needs to draft. And yeah, fair. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, I think it's actually, for me, I think it will actually open up Carolina's offense a bit more. They're not going to have to rely on giving it to CMC 30 times a game. They're actually going to have to think about putting together offensive plays. And I think this is going to be telling for Mr. McAdoo in the offensive coordinator position. It's down to him now. It's all on his shoulders. And if he can't cut the mustard, then let's get him out.
Absolutely. So let's crack on with last night's game anyway. And the New Orleans Saints traveled to Arizona to face the Cardinals. Both teams was 2-4 on the season, so not the best. And it was the Cards that won 42-34, bringing their record now to 3-4. And the return of DeAndre Hopkins, which we will cover shortly. But from a quarterback perspective, last night, Andy Dalton completed 30 of 47 passes, 361 yards, which is decent, 4 touchdowns, amazing, but 3 interceptions. On the ground, he had 4 carries for 21 yards, still 29.54 points, which is very good. Kyler still struggled, even with the return of Hopkins. He completed 20 of 29, 204 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 2-point conversion, 7 rushes for 30 yards for 17.16 points. He seemed he was having a go at what looked like Cliff Kingsbury, on the sideline at one point. So we'll have to see what develops there.
Yeah, and you and Murph actually covered it really well on the flagship show at the start this week. Arizona finding it hard to get things going. We saw it very early on in the first half. New Orleans sprung away to a 2-touchdown lead against the 2 field goals, and it was really only the defense that kept the game in Arizona's hands with those 2 pick sixes, and back to back pretty quickly turned the game around for the Cardinals. We're gonna have to see if they can come up with some of the other things when it gets within the 30-yard zone. So, like you said, return of the Hop, 20.3 points, 10 receptions, 103 yards. So not a touchdown to Grace's return to the team, but very much a focal point, especially with Hollywood Brown out. You've got Greg Dortch scoring a touchdown as well. It's getting a 2-point conversion. Eno Benjamin, he was also there for quite a lot of the snaps. He seemed to get quite a nice lead in there as well. 113 scrimmage yards, 1 touchdown, 1 2-point conversion, 23.3 points on the night in James Conner's absence. And then you've also got Keontae Ingram pushing as well to make sure he's got a share of this backfield with Conner out as well. He got a rushing touchdown, had another one ruled out as well, I believe, for a play because he went down just a little bit early. In the opposite backfield, Alvin Kamara, he had a steady night, only 11 carries, but 7 of 9 balls he caught that came his way, 17.5 points. And then, should we say a really good performance from the backups here in the wide receivers group, pass catchers. Michael Thomas Landry out. Chris Olave, the last remaining starter, I think, out of that team, 7 of 14 for 106 yards. Traquan Smith, 5 of 6. And then Rashid Shaheed, second touchdown, got a nice rushing one first week. This one was a beautiful passing touchdown for him as well. A 53-yard catch. Lovely for the stats. And then Juwan Johnson, Saints tight end, has been playing in those wide receiver positions a little bit. 5 catches on 5 targets, but 2 touchdowns on 32 yards. So 20-plus points. I played him over Irv Smith and Kyle Pitts this week, so that's going to be quite a nice return there.
Yeah, nicely done. And the defense, Rob touched on it earlier, 2 pick sixes for the Cardinals from Marco Wilson and Isaiah Simmons. They actually had 3 picks on the night, though. Antonio Hamilton picked off another one on 3rd down in the end zone from Dorton. No sacks, but the Cardinals DST with a very nice 17 points in Thursday Night Football. If you started them, well done. The Saints, less said the better, really. 2 sacks on Kyler, 2 points for the DST. And next up is the injury report.
So a quick recap of Thursday night injuries. It seemed like it was a clean bill of health across the teams, although you may have noticed no Hollywood Brown. He was injured for on virtually the last play of the game last week, so he's out for 4 to 6 weeks with a chip bone in foot. They did, from the looks of things, bring in Robbie Anderson to maybe as a replacement. You covered that on Monday night as well. He didn't go targeted at all. So
he had 1 target actually, but he didn't catch it.
Did he? Oh,
yeah. I don't know if it was catchable or what. I can't remember seeing it personally, but he did have a target. Yeah.
Well, there you go. So quarterback injuries. After a few weeks out, Dak Prescott has been throwing with his injured hand. His thumb injury seems to be okay. He is back this week. Someone else back this week as well. Tua Tagovailoa. He's not on the injury report after missing a few games with that definite concussion. So it'll be nice to see him back for Miami as well. Kenny Pickett also coming back from a concussion, full participant this week. He should return too. Mac Jones with a high ankle sprain is not quite sure what he's doing just yet, but he's heading in the right direction. He has got until Monday night against the Bears to sort that out. And then Lamar Jackson, he's been limited on Wednesday and full Thursday with his hip. I'm fairly sure he should be coming in and doing what he does best.
Yeah, I can. Sorry about that. The Ravens are having a bit of a torrid time with injuries. So obviously, J.K. Dobbins left the game early last week with his knee, and he's not practiced this week at all. But let's talk about Jonathan Taylor. So the consensus 101 in redraft dynasty, whatever you like, with that ankle issue. So he was limited Wednesday, but he was a full participant Thursday. So he's looking good for week 7 after missing weeks 5 and 6. DeAndre Swift. So the Lions are coming off the bye as well, so he should be well rested. But he was limited with the ankle and the shoulder issue. So 2 separate injuries on Wednesday and Thursday. He said he's definitely going in the right direction, meaning to play against the Cowboys. So he missed week 4, missed week 5, bye week 6, and he feels like he could play against the Cowboys this weekend. Raheem Mostert, another Dolphin, with his knee. He was limited Wednesday, but full on Thursday, which is good news after he had surgery to repair cartilage in his knee, which ended his 2021 season.
I mean, when he's saying he's definitely going in the right direction, it kind of reminded me of Alvin Kamara with his rib injury, saying he was ready to play. I think we have to take these things with a pinch of salt, really. Like, Jamal Williams did okay in his absence. Do they really want to rush DeAndre Swift back? We'll have to see. But Chase Edmonds might be liking this news about Raheem Mostert. So if Chase can break his way back in, great for him. Wide receivers, Keenan Allen. Yeah, with his hamstring injury, hasn't played since week 1. He was limited Wednesday. He says, like a lot of people have been saying that he may come back in this week. However, that there's been talk that he himself may be out for this week because they've got the bye coming up in week 8. So it's going to be a risky one. If I've taken Keenan Allen out of some of my lineups because I don't think he's going to play. Rashad Bateman, limited practice Wednesday and Thursday with a foot injury. Devin Duvernay did okay last week. He was my flex of the week a couple of weeks ago and did very well from that. So if Rashad Bateman does come back, he is likely going to mop up some of those targets. Jalen Waddle, another Dolphin, shoulder issue in week 6 against the Vikings. He's been limited both Wednesday and Thursday, so watch out for the Friday report, and it should be out by now actually. So make sure you have a check of that. CeeDee Lamb limited on Wednesday, full on Thursday with his hip. This is great news for Dak coming back as well. He's got one of his favourite targets to throw to. And we were talking about Hunter Renfrow yesterday because we were thinking about it was going to be Carr, or it was going to be Ryan for our joint team in the Battle of the Pods.
Yeah.
But Renfrow was one of the people we talked about. He's flagged up on Thursday as it did not practice with his hip injury. So we may have to go for Ryan here, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And another Raider added to the list who didn't practice, but he didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. Hamstring injury, Darren Waller. So he left week 5 in the first half against Kansas City. He's coming off the bye week, but it's likely he will not be playing this week after not practicing at all. He obviously had an issue last year as well. So look to maybe for even Foster Moreau or someone, because he could still be out there. If not, another backup plan. But Dalton Schultz, with his knee issue that seems to have been lingering for a little while now, he was a late rule out of Sunday night football against the Eagles last week, which would have bit a few people. But he's been a full participant all week. Pat Freiermuth, good news for Pittsy. The concussion, it looks like he's cleared the protocol because he's been a full participant all week. And another Raven that has flagged up is Mark Andrews with a knee injury, and he has not practiced Wednesday or Thursday.
So that's not good.
That's a big one. Keep an eye on that one. And yeah, that's about it for tight ends, I think.
Oh, that's not good news for my fantasy team with Andrews in and Schultz. Oh, maybe a third tight end needs to be brought into the roster. Oh,
yeah, it's that Mark Andrews one is a massive one, especially for the Ravens who ain't having everything their own way at the minute, and of course for our fantasy teams because he's a stud. You got him, you start him. But next up is weak points. So moving into the second phase of bye weeks, and we have no bye teams appearing on the list this week. Last week, it was about half, I think. So let's get straight in with these weaknesses. The weakest against the quarterback is the Las Vegas Raiders, 25.5 points on average. They take on the Texans, which is obviously led by Davis Mills, QB 28 on the year. So low-end QB2 maybe this week, or for Superflex, like, you could start him possibly. The Detroit Lions, 22.9 points on average, are at the Cowboys. Return of the Dak. So we had return of the Hop at the start of the show, and we've got return of the Dak in the middle. Yeah, I'm firing up Dak wherever I've got him this week. Kansas City Chiefs coming in third, 22.1 points, are at the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo, this would have been a great week for Trey Lance as well, by the way, because the Chiefs let up a lot to running backs, which is such a shame. But Jimmy G is the starter, and he was QB9 last week, so might not be a bad option.
Yeah, and they were also playing from behind against the Falcons as well, so this could be another game where we see him sling it a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So moving on to the running backs, we have the Texans in first, 27.6 points, and they are at the Raiders. So we've got a team weak against the quarterback playing a team that are weak against running back. So Josh Jacobs, he was getting hot in week 4 and 5 before the bye. So let's hope we can hit the ground running and get some teams some decent points. The Lions are in second with 26.8. They are at the Cowboys. This could be a good week for Zeke. He was RB12 last week. People doubting him, but he could be coming back strong. 81 rushes, 81 rush yards and a touchdown. But can't can't turn that down. And the Lions hopefully will give them some more as well. And then obviously Pollard's there as well. So keep that that running game going. And then the third is the Browns, 26.5 points. They are at the Ravens. So if Lamar's struggling with his hip and Dobbins is out, then we could be seeing a repeat performance from Kenyon Drake. Justice Hill is logging full participation, and Gus the Bus isn't on the injury report at all. So maybe we've got Gus coming back as well.
Yeah, all things are, well, not all things, but a few things are looking up for the Ravens anyway, which they very much need, especially if Andrews isn't there. He's the main weapon. If Bateman misses again, he's your number two. Duvernay was even on the injury report. I think he logged a full one yesterday. So,
yeah.
But yeah, Lamar needs some friends, and it looks like there's a couple coming back. Weakest against the wide receivers. No shock. As always, the last few weeks, it's been the Pittsburgh Steelers. 38.2 points, and they are at Miami in Sunday Night Football. Tua is back. Tyreek is the overall wide receiver 3 so far, averaging over 22 points a game. So he's eating up over half of what the Steelers are averaging on his own. I wouldn't be surprised to see that number rise a little bit by next week, especially if Waddle goes. Titans are second, 37.6. They play the Colts. Now, I believe the Colts could win this game through the air. So it's obviously quite scripted to be a run-heavy match, as always, in that division. JT back, Derrick Henry coming off the bye for the Titans. You have to start them. But if Matt Ryan slings it like last week, Pittman, Alec Pierce, they'll both benefit massively. And then in third, the Chiefs, 33.9 points. And they're at the 49ers, as we said. So you've obviously got the elite talent that is Deebo Samuel. But Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver 4 last week, 28 plus points, 2 touchdowns. He ain't a bad start this week at all.
Yeah. What you have to bear in mind for that, though, is that they may be putting CMC in. They may not give him a full snap count, but they may actually get him playing just to get used to things, get used to the playbook, and we may see some of these targets like slip away from Samuel and Ayuk and Kittle as well. So that's something to watch out for in the game this weekend. Weakest against tight ends. The Seahawks, 21.4. They are at the Chargers. So wheels up for Jared Everett, especially with Keenan Allen, questionable, Josh Palmer as well. So keep an eye out for Everett as well. Cardinals, 15.2 against the Saints. That was Thursday Night Football, and we saw Juwan Johnson get 20 points, 5 catches, 2 touchdowns. So I think we could see the Cardinals again in week 8. Raiders, they complete the list, 15.1 against the Texans. Brevin Jordan, he wasn't mentioned on the injury reports, but he was limited on Wednesday. He had a full practice on Thursday. He hasn't played since week 2 because of an ankle injury, and he has played 9 games as a rookie, so has some steady performances. A bit of chemistry with Davis Mills as well. He did get 3 touchdowns in those 9 games, so maybe he is a touchdown-dependent player again this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't mind Brevin Jordan as well myself. I'll find it hard to start him, even with a nice matchup, though. I think they've hardly been going to Jordan Akins or whoever else is there at tight end this season. But should we go for Flex of the Week?
Let's do it.
Week 7 by Mageddon, and everybody, I don't care who you are that plays fantasy, has been hurt by this Week 7 bye. So you've got the Vikings, the Buffalo Bills, the Eagles, who are still undefeated, and the LA Rams. So you've basically got Cooper Kupp from the Rams. But yeah, Flex of the Week. You go first, Rob.
So I've dug a bit deeper for this one. I have gone for Alec Pierce, the wide receiver at the Colts. You've already mentioned that it could be a game to win for the Colts by passing it through the air. So Michael Pittman seems like the obvious look here. If he gets the coverage, Alec Pierce should definitely benefit from this. He has actually had a bit of a dip in his targets last week, but the week before he got a lot of targets, a lot of receptions. So he is seen by Matt Ryan. He's a great deep threat as well, and I think the Titans do struggle against the deep ball. They seem to be a bit lacking in the safety and the cornerback position at the moment. So he's certainly one that fits the bill of being a flex of the week. I can see him doing very well against the Titans.
Yeah, it's a great shout, Alec Pierce this week. I'm going to be starting him wherever I have him, I think, unless there's too many good options. I'm going for Romeo Doubs for the Packers against Washington. So Washington, they're just not quite on our weak points segment. 4th most points allowed against wide receivers from Fantasy Pros, obviously 33.8 per game. He's played 85+% of the snaps since week 3. So he's had a rough couple of weeks against the 2 New York teams, but he's still been getting targets. Now, from week 1 to 4, he's averaging 12.1 points per game, which is more than respectable, especially in your flex spot. Aaron Rodgers likes him. He's got Rodgers' trust. So, yeah, I'll be flexing Romeo Doubs this week.
He seems like one of the only ones who actually can help Rodgers out at the moment. Like looking at some of the pass completions with some of the other wide receivers, the other ones seem to be quite down, and Dobbs seems to be actually doing very well with his completion. So that is a good shout as well. Pittsy hasn't sent a video in this week. He's sent in some good old script, some notes for us to read out for him. He has also dug deep. In fact, probably quite a lot deeper than our picks. He's gone for Tyquan Thornton at the Patriots. So one for players in a much deeper league. And again, this is going back to some of his old articles and the under the radar players. And again, it has some depending on features to it. So a few stipulations. So last week's game against the Brown, his usage improved because of that lack of wide receiving options at the position. So we need to watch Aguilar. We need to watch Kendrick Bourne, who is subject to trade rumors. So he may not even be there by the weekend. But it's all about their health at the moment. Pittsy feels that Tyquan showed enough for Bill to take note, especially with how versatile he is. He was used 3 times in the rushing game, got a touchdown, and he also caught 4 from 5 with a touchdown as well. So double threat there. The second thing that you need to depend on is which quarterback plays. So if Mac's back, there may not be much of a connection, but Thornton seems to have been put more time in with Bailey Zappi after training with the seconds and thirds. So when you're coming against a mean Chicago defense, that could really come in handy, having that chemistry.
Yeah, I really like that pick as well. He was quite impressive last week. Thornton was straight off the IR, straight in, bang, 2 touchdowns. Like you say, he's a versatile guy. Yeah, interesting one. All 3 rookies. I think that's the first time that's been done this year as well.
Yeah, so first tight end last week, rookies all across the board this week. We are, we're plumbing new grounds, Lewis. That's what we're doing. Finding new things.
That's it. I did have someone else originally, and then I changed it because I realized I already used him. So I was going to go for Michael Gallup first, but yeah, we went Dobbs.
Yeah, one to watch out for them.
That is it. And that is it for Fast Action Friday, week 7. As always, you'll be able to find this wherever you get your podcast shortly after we come off the live. It's been great to catch up a little bit, Rob, after our slow start to the evening. But until next week for week 8, keep rushing.